Hi, I'm Randy Horton, Chief Solutions Officer from Orthogonal, coming to you from the San Diego Convention Center at AdvaMed's MedTech conference. Terrific conference. You can't make it to every conference by any stretch in this industry, and if you do, you can only talk to a fraction of the interesting people out there. So what we're trying to do is curate with MedTech Spotlight Live a series of conversations with some of the most interesting people in the room to bring you some of the best of it to you at your home work, home office, probably most likely these days. So today we're here actually with one of the most interesting people in MedTech altogether, Josh Makower from Stanford Biodesign.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself.
I am a physician, entrepreneur, inventor, investor. I'm a co-founder of Stanford Mussallem Center for Biodesign, current director. And I'm sort of connected into the ecosystem. So I do a little bit of everything, creating companies, still on the board of many companies, and also supporting some investors at the early and late stage.
Okay, so pretty rich variety.
Yeah.
You still practice medicine?
No, I never practiced, in fact.
Never
After
practiced.
medical school, I put my practicing of medicine behind me, although I do help a lot of family members with decoding the medical language that they get presented with. So I do a little bit of that and try to help people find the right doctors, but that's by medical direct.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here today because biodesign is just an amazing gem in the medtech space. And as I was mentioning before, some of the companies we talked to that I think come with the most thoroughly baked and well thought out businesses and business models on every aspect, they're biodesign alum. So for those who don't know about biodesign, could you give us a little background? Because I think it's well known, but it's also still well unknown. If we
Happy to share about it. And of course, you can learn more about it on our website, which is biodesign.stanford.edu. It is a way of thinking. It is a way of starting with a raw problem that may have existed for centuries. That by taking this fresh approach to it, you can, literally in a stepwise fashion, decode it into a set of prioritized need statements that then, in talking with the stakeholders, as well as, the patients, the doctors, et cetera, in this ecosystem, really understand what the need really is. And so it's foundationally a need-based innovation process that starts with a very rigorous upfront of need finding, which sounds like obvious. Of course you find the need, but most people don't realize how much embedded bias there is in that process. And so what we help people with is to see that for themselves, to be able to find the true need by really getting in touch with that patient directly, seeing it for yourself, not taking it, a doctor's word for it. And then also seeing what's going on with the doctor and not just listening to what they say they want. It's actually what they need. And usually people with different and diverse backgrounds can see that problem better. That's really the foundation of it. From there, of course, we're training people on how to brainstorm, how to filter, how to, do the business analysis, at the regulatory reimbursement, IP, financial planning, clinical trial, everything. And though that process itself is a filter. So some things that, you can identify are not doable. You can identify up front. So it's all that upfront work that goes into launching the right project in any space. And so that is what biodesign is. It's that upfront process from, hey, we have a problem, to now we have a solution that we can execute on.
Got it. And so when you say biodesign as opposed to general design, what are the things that differentiate this from a product design curriculum that's not focused on medtech, life sciences, healthcare?
Yeah. So this biodesign methodology can be used for all life sciences. As we were talking, it's biotech, it's digital, it's medtech, it's diagnostics, it's services. It could even be launched for a reasonable research project, in academia. All those things. But what differentiates it from, let's say, your traditional, product development, process, is those usually start with an idea that you are now going to execute on. Stage gates and all this kind of stuff. It's not what happens when it's a blank sheet of paper and you don't know what your next product should be as a company or as an entrepreneur, like what should I work on? that's the gap that it's filling. So it's everything before many of those product development processes. It's the upfront that, is usually like historically, a doctor came to me with this idea. How do we develop this thing? It's the going behind that process and starting from scratch.
So it's a very sort of ethnographic kind of approach.
Extremely so.
Embedding yourself and understanding the world.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. My favorite story about that world that I first learned, I think it was in the 80s, there was an article in Business Week saying that Ford hired anthropologists to design cars, and they had them just drive around with people in cars. And somebody was driving around with a soccer mom in an early generation, you know the story?
No.
Early generation minivan. And every time they turned a corner, the soccer ball banged against one side or the other of the trunk. And he said to her, "Doesn't that annoy you?" And she goes, "Oh, it used to drive me nuts. Now I don't really notice." That's where the idea of the little mesh thing that you stick stuff in the trunk came from.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's exactly the type of thing.
It's pretty low tech. But,
yeah. But I mean, a lot of times, those kinds of observations are product differentiators. How something works to make it easier to use can impact patient outcomes. And that same type of ethnographic research actually is sort of where it's at. What's interesting, if you look at the early generation medical devices, most of it was really targeted at solving a clinical problem, and anyway, the best way possible. And there was a very important stakeholder that was often left out of that equation, which is actually the patient. Because we have a lot of solutions that are painful, bloody, difficult to, recover from, that are, sort of quality of life impacting, but cancer's gone, or, blood clot is gone, but what have you left the patient with is really the thing in terms of a lifestyle, right? That's what this type of ethnographic research reveals, is that many people, would prefer a solution that helps them have better quality of life, even if it means that their sort of disease isn't 100% gone. But if they have a better quality of life, it's a win for them. That's what they really care about, to, go through a massive procedure where they're left with some, long-term scar and disability in an effort to have a long-term outcome isn't always a trade-off people make. And that's sort of the origin of interventional cardiology, was based on that. Patients would much prefer to have a catheter-based treatment, even if it meant it's repeated, instead of having their chest cracked open and their heart stopped and having a cardiovascular surgery.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, one thing I want to clarify is that when people say biodesign, it means a number of things.
Yeah.
Right. And in the list I know, but maybe you could help elucidate. It's a methodology. There's a book. There's a curriculum.
Yeah.
It's the original, the OG program out of Stanford.
Yeah. Right. And
you could explain a little about the fellowship. Then you essentially have franchises around the world. Yeah. Right. And then there's sort of a cult movement that's kind of like the deadheads or fishtails. Those are kind of the categories.
I haven't heard of the last one. I don't know that last one, but
so maybe you could clarify when we say biodesign, what are all the different meanings of it? And also what are the options for somebody who wants to get engaged at different points in their career?
Right. So when someone's using the word biodesign, they're really referring to the biodesign process, which is, that we did sort of originate, although in fairness, we borrowed from the best design thinking and other types of elements to construct it, but we focused the process specifically on healthcare. And that's what the biodesign process is about. So it's a healthcare-oriented process that enables solutions to problems that have multi-stakeholders. It's not just like in design school, let's say at the D school at Stanford, which is extremely well respected, started by David Kelly, who was the founder of IDEO, just an amazing guy and amazing process. I mean, to dream of the better toothbrush, it's really not a question of who the customer is. It's the person with the toothbrush. In healthcare, it's much more complicated. The person holding the scalpel is not the only stakeholder, right? And that's why the biodesign process exists, because it takes into that healthcare complexity. So anyone that's using the words biodesign as part of their program probably is either using our textbook, was either trained by us, and they've now created a satellite institution, or they're just inspired by what we did and they want to have it in their own institution. And really there's an affinity between us and a central core of philosophical core, as well as probably educational core that's the same. Now, we ourselves have directly inspired over 60 biodesign programs across the world. And so many of them use biodesign in their identity, and they are either affiliates or they are trainees of ours, and we have a close relationship with them. And in some cases, we've actually very actively helped set up their institutions, and they're proud of their affiliation with us. Bioinnovate in Ireland, or Japan Biodesign, or Taiwan Biodesign, and Singapore Biodesign. Just Israel Biodesign. Just all these are very close, sort of colleagues that we meet with frequently, and then we compare notes as things evolve and change. And so it is becoming a community amongst this sort of approach, and I'm really proud of it. But they all have their own identities, and there are many, as we discussed, that are using the methodology. They don't necessarily call it biodesign; they may call it something else. But if they're using our textbook and teachings, it's pretty much the same basic process.
Okay.
Same basic.
So you can do a fellowship in one of these programs.
Yes.
Generally, if you're earlier career, otherwise you can do it at any point.
Yeah.
And then are there companies that that are using it, or alumni who have taken it into companies?
Great opportunity for me to pitch the executive education program, which is an important program for us. It's our connection to all size companies, and also individual, business people, and even academics to come for an intense 3 days, and we will train folks and get them up to speed on biodesign.
So it's a 3-day boot camp.
It's a 3-day boot camp. It's very intense, and it's called, we do run it once a year in March. And anyway, so yes, so we touch directly about 500 people a year.
Okay.
12 innovation fellows who are with us full time. Then we have a biodesign faculty fellowship, which is faculty at Stanford. That's about 12 to 18, and then we also train faculty from across the world to help them, and that includes the United States, to help them set up their programs. That's about another 8 to 12, and then the rest are undergraduate, graduate, and about 100 executives a year that we train from mostly major multinationals and groups of about 12 or so. But we also, like I said, we have a slot that is open to individuals who have interest.
And that's just Stanford. Any estimate on how many people you reach annually across,
This is our 25th anniversary, and we are going to endeavor to find that number out, because I think it's a time to sort of take stock of sort of what we've created and the impact it's having in the world, which is pretty exciting.
And is there, like, if I want to look around at the conference, is there a secret tattoo or something? People have been through
That's a really good idea, but we haven't implemented that yet. But yeah, but there is, there is a really beautiful affinity and a community built around it. And the thing that's important to know is, even at Stanford Biodesign, most of our curriculum is not taught at all by Stanford professors. It's taught by the community. So we bring in, from the community and literally across the world, expert in regulatory, expert in, clinical, expert in, these are the folks who actually teach our courses. That was how we created it, is that we created the framework. The fundamental philosophy is the same, but we're bringing real practitioners in to teach everyone. So it's giving it's a give back for everybody. It's an opportunity and many people donate their time. They are not only donating their time, but many companies are donating, money. We live off of donations, honestly. We don't have a really, we're not profit, right? So, but all of those donations support our educational activities. So there's a symbiosis. We're providing a value to the community, a value to patients, and we're thankfully in a position to be able to survive based on the generous donations and engagement from the community as well.
Right. Shout out to your named donor.
Yes, absolutely. Who's being honored in just a few minutes here with the Lifetime Achievement Award. Mike was the chairman and founder and CEO of Edwards Life Sciences, and gave us an extremely generous gift that is going a long way towards creating a foundation for our sustainability. And very thankful to Mike for stepping forward in that way.
So it sounds like it's a lot of, as the surgeons say, about learning a new procedure: see one, do one, teach one.
Yeah, a little bit. It is. It is an experiential learning. It is not, sit in a class and take notes. It's like, go do it. We'll coach you. And that's sort of what it is throughout all of our curriculum, whether it's, undergrad or grad, or even the fellows, we push them into the situation where they've got to invent something. They actually have
Very
to
good.
solve it themselves.
So one very tactical question,
Yeah.
because unfortunately we're talking a lot to some really talented early stage people right
Yeah.
now who are having a hard time finding a job.
Yeah.
And we've been saying, go check out Biodesign. It might be a good place to spend a year.
Yeah.
What's the timeline for applying for fellowship programs? Is it
Okay.
differ? Or?
For our fellowship, applications are available during the summer. And then we close applications, I think it's towards the end of August.
Okay.
That is for the following August.
Oh, for a year from then.
Yes.
Okay, so you really got to plan it.
You do. You have to plan ahead. Then we'll notify, we go through this selection process, interviews in November or so, and we notify people by the end of the year that they're in for August. So if you're in a company now or you're completing a program, it's sort of like you're applying to school. You got to plan about a year ahead.
Okay, is that consistent for your affiliates as well?
For the executive course, we're recruiting for that right now, and that happens in March. So it's a little shorter time. It's not as much of a long-term commitment. It's only 3 days. So yeah, we want that all sort of signed up by the end of the year, and then then we get started with some work for them to do back at their own companies starting January, and then they show up in March ready to go. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming down.
Thanks
We appreciate
for the
your time.
opportunity. Really nice meeting you.
Thanks for sharing
Thanks so much. My pleasure.